Hello and welcome back to the TheDropOutDragon. I thought we'd get it out of the way and go ahead and talk about the washing pole. So let's cover its moveset real quick. These are the R1s. Here are the R2s. This is the one-handed, obviously. And here's the two-handed. And there you go. Static, those are the moves. So the biggest bread and butter for this weapon is the running attack. It is almost like a spear. In fact, it kind of is. It has the range of spears in its running attack. It doesn't have as long as a hitbox as spears, but the step forward that the character model makes when he does the actual running attack makes it as long as spears. So the hitbox is moved forward. It's pretty cool. So let's talk about it a little bit, and I have some opinions about this weapon and katanas in general and people's relation to katanas at the beginning of a Souls game as we get into it. And hopefully I will be able to address that as articulate as possible. I have done multiple recordings at this point where I just started sounding pissed, and I didn't want to do that. I wanted to articulate myself and say it in a way that didn't make me sound like a whiny little bitch, or at least any more than I already am. So I know there's a few of you that shake your heads when you hear me say things, and that's okay. I'm open to criticism. But let's go ahead and talk about the weapon itself. So the katanas in general are a very one-trick pony, the running attacks. They can barely trade with some of the other weapons, and and I mean other weapons in its speed class, and that includes straight swords and curved swords. Some of the curved swords do more damage, and some of the straight swords do more damage. But this weapon doesn't have the insane counter damage as it did in Dark Souls 2, so you're not going to be winning a whole lot of trades. So that's always a good start, unable to summon spirit. This does happen. It happens a lot, but we're already here. We're already going, and I could talk a little bit more. Come on, give me one. Thank you. Sometimes this area just drives me nuts. It's so populated that some of these signs you never pick up. So the katanas in general, they're very one-trick pony. They have these weapon art stances where people get really reactive with them. I think they're better as a mix-up or a quick parry. The R2 is a parry. The R1 is this big slash thing right there. It takes a lot of stamina to use, so just remember that. Very, very, very serious focus cost, I should say, not stamina. I always think stamina, but it's not. It's focus. It takes a little bit of focus to use that, so, use it sparingly. So, they're very one-trick pony. They're really getting in your face, trying to catch you in rolls and, with their running attacks and regular attacks. But the washing pole, separately from the others, doesn't combo. Okay, now this is kind of something that throws off a lot of people about this weapon, is that if I hit you with an R1, I can't follow it up with the second R1, because it's actually not going to combo you. You don't stay staggered long enough, and you can roll out of it. So I'm only going to hit you once. So out of all the katanas, he buffed, I'll throw in a buff. Out of all the katanas, this one actually, despite having the highest damage, puts out the least amount, because it's not able to combo into a couple. He screwed up some face spell, which makes me giggle. No, he wanted to parry. Maybe he would have gotten that if he didn't fuck it up. Instead, he wants to be the cool kid with the S-stock, which is fine because he doesn't have a great shield. I'll go ahead and punish that movement. Yeah, keep spamming. That's fine. That's fine. Oh, no punish for the roll. And he got close to me, so I'll hit. But it's a serious reflex to want to R1 twice after hitting somebody, because normally with every other weapon you get a stun, and with this one you don't, which can confuse the hell out of you. Oh, good, laggy S-stock. That's always fun. He went through denial. He went through denial. Well, I almost had a pretty good match with you. I think it started warping around. It happens, and you have to deal with it. So, you put pressure on people with this weapon, and then you kind of have to back off because you're not able to combo and do crazy amounts of damage in 2 hits, as well as some of the other weapons, because the other weapons do combo, including the other katanas, but they have shorter range. This weapon has probably one of the best ranges in the entire game, so it's one of those. You have to be careful with it, because if you're put into a spot where you're just wasting stamina R1ing, they're going to punish you. And if you're running a katana build, chances are you're not in big giant heavy armor, and you're going to be hurting pretty bad from that. So be cautious, be aware. That's this weapon. Now, its weaknesses. And this is kind of going to roll on to what I'm going to talk about in a little bit that people might disagree with. The weaknesses of fast weapons and in general, especially katanas, seeing as how they're so heavily reliant on their running R1s, is hyper armor and shields. Hyper armor and shields makes these weapons not do so good. They're great against other fast weapons, but against heavy weapons and a player who knows how to time their hyper armor, who knows how to time what their shields, manage their stamina, they are going to punish you until you can't even breathe. And it's going to hurt. It's going to hurt a lot. Because one of the biggest things that you're going to get is a bunch of people who are just waiting for you to do a running attack. And what are you going to do? You're going to get in your face and just R1 anyway? No, they're not going to do that. They're going to wait for you to do a running attack, because you will do one, because they're really easy and quick to pull off, so you just do it. And that hyper armor is going to make you lose half your health, because that guy's using, I don't know, a Lothric Great Shield, and it's going to hurt. It's going to hurt so bad. Screwed up parry on my part, and he's punishing me pretty hard. Hit me with those pokes. See if I can hit him with one. No, he's just going to screw up a parry. GG, my friend. Kind of got in his face there. Not the best decision against a straight sword, but I did. But hyper armor just shits on katanas. I know it from personal experience. I've seen it on Twitch streams. I've seen it on YouTubes. They just wait. Oh, I think I just ended up summoning them. No, thank God. That guy was kind of laggy. I'm glad we didn't get him again. The S-Stock. You know, this hyper armor will just shit on this. And shields allow people to punish you. So a lot of builds nowadays are not running shields. A lot of people look at shields as kind of a crutch, or they see it as something that, you know, makes you look like a bad player or whatever. But really and truly in this game, with how fast the weapons are, and, you know, latency being what it is, having a shield just around is maybe using it as a counter instead of just constantly holding it up. That is a lot more beneficial than just constantly timing your rolls, because sometimes, especially if you're fighting something like a dark sword, your rolls won't be consistent, and latency is a thing. It will happen, and in a game like this where it doesn't seem to have double registration, I mean, it can really hurt you. So using a shield doesn't hurt. Using a shield is a good thing, and it counters a lot of stuff that people are really complainative about. A lot of people hate katanas, a lot of people hate S-Stocks, and though I will not defend the S-Stock because it is OP, I will defend the katanas because a shield completely negates katanas. They're not very good against shields. Someone can just take the hit and then go ahead and bam, R1 spam right in your face and punish you for getting in theirs. And just remember that, because that's a huge thing about what I'm going to talk about. So what I'm saying is, into this rant that I hope I don't, you know, dwell too much on, is everybody needs to keep an open mind. We're a month into the game, and, you know, Dark Souls 1, Dark Souls 2, Bloodborne, I mean, Bloodborne didn't evolve a whole lot, but, you know, those other two games, they changed rapidly, and they changed a lot from what they started off in the beginning. You have to remember that as a player. We all grew as a community, skill-wise, mental-wise. We started learning. Some learned faster than others, and we all got past things. And there is stuff. Sit back and think about your other PvP experiences. Sit back and think. What gave me a lot of trouble at the beginning of the game? In Dark Souls 2. Let's use that as the example. Let's freshen our memory. In Dark Souls 2, what gave you the most trouble? And then realize at the very end of your Dark Souls 2 playthrough in PvP, I shouldn't even say playthrough, but at the very end where you thought you were the best, you know, you could be at the game, did that weapon give you trouble anymore? Or did you evolve beyond it because now it made more sense to you? Now it made more sense. Now you got it. Now you can understand how to counter it. This guy doesn't. But I've gone and screwed up, lost half my health anyway. Oh, the stuns. That's rude. That's alright. I'll just go ahead and running attack again. Yeah, there's a lot ruder things than katanas, as you can see. Holy crap. Anyway, I mean, it feels like, if you think back at that time where maybe you thought, like I remember great swords gave me the hardest trouble in Dark Souls 2. I couldn't figure out the timing for those things. They were so fast. They did so much damage. I just thought, oh my god, this is so OP. I don't know how to deal with it. And spears are the same way in Dark Souls 2. I was like, Jesus, this is so bad. They really need to nerf these. And that was a mistake on my part, because then later into the game, I dealt with that stuff every day, and it was no problem. And it was just it clicked in my head. Now I know how to roll through this, or now I know how to deal with this, and I dealt with it accordingly. I'd either pull out a shield, or I would, learn the roll times or whatever, but you dealt with it accordingly. And you have to learn as a player before you get to that point. So before you start raising hell, talking about how fucking OP katanas are or whatever it is, really think about it. Is it punishable? Have I beaten one before? What's the deal? That's the questions you have to ask yourself. Because when I'm using an ultra grade, I don't even care. I hope the guy's using a katana. I really do. When I'm using something like what this guy's using, oh man, I hope to God it's a katana, because I'm just gonna get in his face. Be like, yeah, okay, that's cute. Yeah, do your running attack. I'm gonna hyper through it. That's gonna feel good. You're gonna do 200 damage or something like that, and I'm gonna do 600. Hope you're okay with that. So it's the game is based off punishes and counters, and everybody wants to complain super hard about what they deem as OP, but what is really OP in a game this early? Like it's gonna be something dumb, like it always is. And see, this guy, he's too aggressive with this. He doesn't realize I have a katana, so he's too aggressive. He's not thinking. There you go. Get that S stock out. I'm losing. Better switch to a rapier. There's your weapon. There's what you need. There's what you need patched. Because that thing can do whatever it wants. Wants to be passive? Fine. Wants to be aggressive? Fine. Go ahead and get that parry there, for good measure. Nice, Kirk. Good fight. But just remember that. As you grow as players, just remember that. Not everything you see now is going to be as OP in the future. And you as a player will evolve past these things. I've already gotten to the point I can deal with rapiers a hell of a lot better than I did in the beginning. I don't complain anywhere near as much as I did before. When I started playing this, the first thing when I saw that S stock and how crazy it was, I thought to myself, Jesus fucking Christ, the game is ruined. Oh, look at it, it's so bad. And then as I played and started to evolve and go, okay, now I understand this. I'm learning it. I know where their frames are. I can kind of punish it. They're kind of following the same pattern because they're so used to just R1 spamming and winning. Okay, there's a way I can get around this. And it seems like a lot of players are getting to that point too, where they can just deal with rapiers. And that's my example. Right now the hot topic is what's the top tier shit and why should it be nerfed? Like that's the hot topic. And I don't agree with that immediately. I think the Dark Sword should get nerfed. I think the S-Stock should get nerfed, and that's really it in the grand scheme of things. I don't think it's that bad. That and the Great Shields they could do with some reduced stability. Like, holy shit. Sometimes it's just not fun. You take a Great Shield and you two-hand it and you go against people, they'll never break your guard and you just troll them. Like, and you maybe throw dung pies or something like that. You want to be a dickhead. It's super fun. Alright, he's got a buff, I got a buff. That's fine. Come at me, friend. So this guy, he's going to want to parry, but I'm going to try not to just give it to him. Kind of space out my attacks. I'll go ahead and trade with that. But see, like that? Just right there in his face, like I just held up my shield and it negated the fact that he spammed on me. If that could be counted as spam, which I really kind of don't, but... And I screwed up that backstab and attacked, and he got his parry spam on me. I mean, just simple shit like this just fucking parried me. It happens. You get, this is that game. God, I want to backstab you for this. There we go. Yeah, keep spamming the parry. That's what you get. I do like how parries are punishable in this game a little bit more than they were in the others. That's very nice. Kind of get in their face and go, bam. You want to parry? Instant backstab. How do you feel? Doesn't bother me. But that's it. That's all I want to devote time to. I wanted to say, hey, you know what? let's think about it. Let's before we start running around on Reddit and screaming and having our head blown off about what's OP and what isn't. Let's really look at things that are consistently just trashing people, and then maybe there's a counter. And if we can't find that counter, then it's OP. But I can guarantee you, when it comes to katanas, there's a counter. It's the shield right here. This shield, any shield, decent stability, whatever, doesn't matter. This shield right there. That's an easy one if you don't want to use like a hyper weapon. But, you got a weapon that's got hyper armor right in their face. Before I even recorded this, I got flawlessed by a dude with a regular greatsword. I don't know what greatsword it was. I think it was the Black Knight greatsword. He just timed all of his hyper armor, and he said, "No, I'm going to trade with you, and I'm going to promise I outtrade you every time." And he did it right. He totally outmaneuvered me, and I wasn't adapting to it. I wasn't trying to punish him, screwing up timings, and I fucked it up. I fucked up that whole fight. And you can do that. I can do that. I do that crap with ultras all the time. So just remember that. Here's another great example. The Farron sword right there. Everybody thought that was going to be the meta, and now it isn't. Now it's garbage. Now everybody laughs at it, and they're like, "Oh, that's the anime sword. Let me just pull up my shield and not care." And just kind of look at him like, yeah. Pretty sure he was thinking about going for a parry. Yeah, he was. We thought this was it. We thought this was the unpunishable, too good weapon. But it isn't. It's just not. Not even close. So just remember that. Farron is a great example for weapons that we thought was going to be crazy and ended up not being crazy. You don't want to go for a... There we go, catching a roll, do a running attack. And look at my damage. Like nothing. Nothing to some of these people. There we go. Except the backstab. I'm sure that felt good. Okay, go ahead and catch him in a roll with the R2. That's good enough for me. So that weapon that everybody thought was just so goddamn OP at the beginning of this game, I just trashed it. I mean, that's not because I'm good. It's just because as a player, I know in my head what it can do. I've evolved past it. I've learned around it. And you can too. Everybody can. You can get around that shit. And there's hard counters to crap in this game. And if you can understand that and adapt to it, then it's not so bad. Trust me. There's a sword like the Farron sword, which gave everybody so much trouble, is pretty garbage at the end tier. Because it doesn't give anybody trouble anymore, because we've grown past it. And that's it. That's all I'm saying. And katanas, washing poles, all that, it kind of comes to my, it comes to me in the same category as, oh, here's a weapon that everybody's whining about right now because they don't have a build that counter it and this and that. It's so OP. But you do. You have the ability to counter it. You're just being an idiot. And once you realize that everybody starts off an idiot in PvP, including me, and once you get better, you're not going to have that problem. But anyway, I guess I'm done repeating myself. That's the washing pole. Summarize this weapon. Punish movement, just like anything else that moves fast. Get in their face, play aggressive, put that pressure on them. You want to spam the running attack, make sure you don't get parried. Make sure they don't have a shield, because you will be punished for that. Punish people and their movement. And but don't think that it's just an easy win, because there are hard counters to it. People are figuring them out. So that's about all I have to say about that. And I hope you guys have a good one. I hope you learned something from the fights, and I hope I didn't offend too many people with my outlandish idea that, games are always unbalanced and we all learn and grow as they get patched and as we get better. It's totally outlandish. So super sorry that I didn't put a trigger warning up for that one. But y'all have a good one. The Dropout Dragon is dropping out.